America's best days are yet to come. That's because conservatives like you know and live the values our great country was built on. The Heritage Foundation exists to make sure your voice is heard in the D.C. swamp each day, shining the light on a bright future. The Heritage Foundation stands for your values and won't give up the fight because they know you never will. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Obviously, I wasn't on the air last evening. My wife and I and other family members were invited to the White House for the Hanukkah party. I wish the whole family could have been there. They would have really loved all this. But it was packed, which kind of supports the president's point. In his building of a ballroom, he had to turn back literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who he wanted to attend. You know, folks, a lot of people say things on the internet, in podcasting, on radio, and so forth, that are simply false and dishonest. Or they try and create impressions. And we get this all the time, do we not? People aren't so much interested in conveying facts and truth and information. They're more interested in trying to manipulate. We get this all the time from the Marxist Islamist left and the neo-fascist right. We are constitutional conservatives. We don't deny that we press our principles, but we do it with knowledge and facts. Not to manipulate people, but to persuade people, to influence people through debate and argumentation. The other thing I notice is Saul Alinsky is alive and well in the minds and hearts and souls of the Marxist Islamists and the neo-fascist right, when they are constantly going after individuals to try and destroy them and smear them on made-up arguments. There's a lot to go over tonight, and I want to do it. We'll do the best we can. But I want you to hear some of what President Trump said. President Trump has never flinched in his support for the state of Israel. His father was a huge supporter of the Jewish community in New York. He worked with many fellow Jewish real estate titans and others. And so it's not like the Jewish community was the reptile house at the zoo. It was part of sort of the assimilation of what takes place in New York. And Donald Trump did the same thing. And so when his daughter Ivanka married Jared Kushner, an Orthodox Jew, there were no objections, there's no shock, none of that sort of thing. The president is a very, very open-minded man. He definitely is, but he is also a man of principle. He has said some things to me in private about what he sees taking place that I will not share with you. And he says these things because he's quite shocked and disturbed by them. Again, he's never tried to camouflage who he is and what he believes. There are people who've tried to twist who he is and what he believes. People who have tried to hijack his belief systems and claim that they're responsible for him and his election and MAGA, when you and I both know they have nothing to do with what we believe and what we support. The president is very, very concerned about the anti-Semitism that's taking place in the United States and around the world. He said so last night. He's very supportive of the state of Israel, as he has demonstrated now in his second term. Even if you have some disagreements with him, and I have from time to time, there's simply no question where he stands on this issue. He is well aware of the rising tide of Islamism, and he's put policies in place to try and fight it and deal with it. And as anybody who actually meets him or deals with him, even in a crowded room, know, he's an enormously kind man. He's a great host. And so my wife and I were standing there, my mother-in-law and stepdaughter, and he calls out to me and my wife, Julie. And there's a lot of important things I want to get to today, but I want to give you a sense for what was taking place. And I'll give you an example of some of this because people have been asking me about it. Cut one, go.
We have a man, I have to take a little time. He did so well that they put him on Saturday too, Saturday night. Do you know who I'm talking about? Because there's only one has Saturday and Sunday. And Saturday is considered Death Valley, but it's not death because of ratings. Nobody gets good ratings. Although actually my daughter-in-law is doing well, and you always did well. The great one, Mark Levin. And much more importantly, his much more brilliant wife. Where are you? There you are. Would you come on up here, both of you? Get up here. Get up here.
That's Julie.
Look, every Saturday, every Sunday, I'm forced to watch television to listen to this guy talk about how frickin' great I am. Because he does like Trump. There's no question about it.
Yes.
Come on up here, Mark. Get up here. Come on up. What a beautiful couple. Did you get lucky? If you weren't a genius, you wouldn't have a wife like this. Mark, say a couple of words. Come here, darling. And these people do like Israel.
Hold on. And he loves Israel too.
It's true.
2 seconds. Just 2 seconds. 6 years ago, I was up here, and I said, "This is our first Jewish president." Now he's the first Jewish president to serve two not consecutive presidencies. We thank you for everything.
That's right. Bad things happened on the second one. Namely, the election was rigged. And we found out, and you see that happening. But
And you are the greatest president.
Thank you very much.
And God bless you. I miss you. I
miss you. Take care of that guy. Take care of that guy. No, he's so great. Thank you, Mark, for both being here. You both really are amazing.
So, of course, This is posted here and there, and the Carlsonites, the Fuentesites, in other words, the Jew-hater anti-Semites, they're all over the place. They're done with Trump because Trump has demonstrated that he's Israel first, and we've had enough, and look at the Jew influence. Donald Trump is a patriotic American. I'm a patriotic American. My family's been here for 125 years, and they have fought the wars, World War I, World War II, and I really get sick and tired of this crap from these neo-Nazi, neo-fascist, Marxist pigs. And I will fight these people with my last breath. They're trying to destroy the Republican Party. They're trying to destroy MAGA. They're trying to destroy the conservative movement, and they're trying to destroy the Trump presidency. I had on Life, Liberty, and Levin on Sunday the director of the Reagan Institute in Washington, who went through the different positions of MAGA when it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to our military, when it comes to our alliances, when it comes to the state of Israel, when it came to bombing the nuclear sites, when it comes to Taiwan. MAGA is solid conservatives, and I'm telling you why. Because MAGA is the Tea Party. MAGA is the Reaganites, without certain Reaganites who are more rhino than conservative. That's who we are. That's who we are. We're not neo-fascists. We're not neo-Nazis. We're not isolationists. We're not anti-American. We're not pro-Putin, pro-Qatar, pro-Iran. That's the enemy. The enemy. Carlson is the enemy. Bannon is the enemy. Owens is the enemy. No Pants Gates is the enemy. They may claim they love this country. They hate it. They may claim they love the American people. They despise you. The president's the real deal. The real deal. Here he is at the reception last night. Cut 2, go.
Let me take a moment to send the love and prayers to our entire nation, to the people of Australia, and especially all those affected by the horrific and anti-Semitic terrorist attack, and that's exactly what it is, anti-Semitic, that took place on a Hanukkah celebration in Sydney. What a terrible, terrible thing. We don't learn. We're joined in mourning all of those who were killed, and we're praying for the swift recovery of the wounded. Some are very horrifically wounded, as you probably know. All nations must stand together against the evil forces of radical Islamic terrorism, and we're doing that.
I will share this with you a few weeks or maybe a month or so ago. When I was talking to the president, he said, "Mark, you would not believe the level of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel believers that are out there." He is shocked by this. Cut 3, go.
As President of the United States, I will always support Jewish Americans, and I will always be a friend and a champion to the Jewish people. I have been. And I will say, if you go back 10, 12, 15 years ago at the most, the strongest lobby in Washington was the Jewish lobby. It was Israel. That's no longer true. You have to be very careful. You have a Congress in particular which is becoming anti-Semitic. You have AOC +3. You have those people, Ilhan Omar, she hates Jewish people. And you have to be very careful because there's been a big change.
Cut 4, go.
How about October 7th? And then you have people that deny it ever happened. How about the people that deny, like they deny the Holocaust, but you figure, well, that's just many years. Well, October 7th is not many years at all. And you have people that deny October. I saw tape that I wish I never saw it, actually. I wish I never saw it. I got to see tape that some of you got to see, but as president, I got to see things I wish I never saw. But there's no denying it. But then they'll say, oh, the tape was a rigged tape. It was a tape that never existed. They made it up. It's just propaganda. I don't know if they believe it. I don't think they believe it, but you have to be very, very careful. Bad things are happening, and we're not going to let that happen. While I'm president and the DOJ and Harmeet, we're not going to let it happen. But please be vigilant and careful, because you have some bad people that are now in Congress that were unthinkable to be in Congress 12, 13, 14 years ago, 15 years ago.
The president knows exactly what's going on. And by the way, he's a man of deep faith. He is a Christian believer. He absolutely is. A man of deep faith. And this is why he's troubled by this. But I wanted you to hear this. There's very few leaders in the world who speak like this. There's a handful of leaders in the United States who speak like this, just a handful. And I want you to understand that Donald Trump is a tremendously patriotic American, as you are in this audience, Mr. and Mrs. America. But when he sees injustice, he sees bigotry, he sees racism, he sees anti-Semitism, he addresses it. That's what we Americans do. We run to the aid of our fellow citizens, whomever they may be, and we reject the enemy within and the enemy outside that seek to come within. And we reject the haters, the bigots, the racists, the anti-Semites, the anti-Christians, who at least temporarily have microphones. Time will tell. Be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. By the way, just to kind of wrap this up, I met a number of wonderful people last night, too. Tremendous people. One of the people I met was Laura Loomer. I don't recall if I've ever met her or not. I'm not sure. But very impressive. You know, they mock her, they attack her, they belittle her, and so forth and so on. And it's like me. You don't always agree with me, and you may not always agree with her, but she has done fantastic work in uncovering many of these neo-fascists and their ties to Qatar and the ties to Russia and so forth. And it was a pleasure to meet her and her fiancé, as well as so many other rock-solid American conservatives. We'll be right back. We're coming upon the 250th birthday of the United States, and it has me thinking, what will America look like 250 years from now? My friends at the Heritage Foundation want to know what you think. What policies should America prioritize? What principles should carry us into the decades ahead? As America enters a new golden age, Heritage recognizes that this is the time to take stock and to be intentional about how we shape the future of America. And they can't do it without your input. So please go to heritage.org/LEVIN and let them know what you think is important. Without patriots like you stepping up and speaking up for what you believe in, America as we know it can't survive for another 250 years. Please go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN. Take the survey on America's future future. This survey takes less than 10 minutes to complete, but it is critical for making sure that the America we pass on to future generations is an America we're proud of. Go to heritage.org/Levin today. That's heritage.org/Levin. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Mark Levin, tough as hell.
That's why I like Mark Levin. And I'm not sure a lot of people like him. He's tough as hell. But I like him. I love him.
Call in now. 877-381-3811.
You know, we're learning more and more about what happened in Australia, some of the people, some of the heroes there. Just horrendous what took place there. The tie-wearing Australian cop, New York Post, believed to have single-handedly taken down the Bondi Beach terrorist with a once-in-a-lifetime shot. He's identified as a local detective who joined the force because he hates crime. Now, Detective Senior Constable Cesar Cesc Barraza has been hailed a hero after he was filmed hiding behind a tree and then opening fire on the two rifle-toting suspects from 130 feet away during Sunday's massacre. Barraza, who was wearing a standard detective's uniform of a shirt and a tie, was only armed with a handgun, a pistol, at the time. His shots are believed to have killed 50-year-old killer Sajid Akram and then injured his 24-year-old son, Naveed Akram, just moments later. Barraza, who joined the force 16 years ago, was previously featured on the Australian reality TV show Recruits, a series that follows young officers starting their careers. The police veteran's aim has widely been described by law enforcement as the shot of a lifetime, the Daily Telegraph reported. I mean, a pistol at 130, that's pretty far. Sources added that even the force's best shooters would have struggled to hit a target from such a distance. The second shot has astounded firearm experts. They actually can't believe it, one source told the outlet. Police are still examining ballistics to confirm that Barraza's bullets were the ones to take down the terrorists. The two suspects slaughtered 15 people, all Jews, celebrating Hanukkah at the famed beach. Naveed Haram, the surviving suspect, charged 59 offenses, including 15 charges of murder. He's awakened from coma in Sydney. One count of murder for each fatality and one count of committing a terrorist act. Police said Akram's car, which was found at the crime scene, contained improvised explosive devices and homemade ISIS flags. And by the way, he got his gun license renewed despite the fact that he was on a list, and despite the fact that they knew he might be a big problem. So that's not a matter of gun control, that's a matter of bureaucratic incompetence, isn't it? And so now they want to tighten the gun laws. Really? Really? It's too bad citizens weren't armed so they had a fighting chance. That's the problem. It's a big problem. There were other heroes, a teenager who threw himself on top of a young child who was murdered. He was murdered. One of the individuals who was seriously wounded was a young gentleman who is training to be a rabbi, who my wife and I, my mother-in-law, met at a Shabbat dinner about a year ago. 4 of these young men were at our rabbi's home, and we got to meet them. In my case, the blowing of the shofar, I had to stay home most of the time because of my injury, and they came to the front door and they blew the shofar, no doubt scaring the hell out of the neighbors. He was severely wounded. One of those young men was severely wounded. And anyway, so this is what took place. And you're not hearing a condemnation really much, are you, from the Arab world, the Palestinian world? You don't hear very much about it because this is considered an accomplishment. This is what children are told to do, almost when they come out of the birth canal. Now, the so-called Palestinian Authority, the so-called moderate Palestinians, if you shoot in a terrorist act and kill, you're awarded with a pension. Your family is. If you're killed, they're awarded with a pension. If you're in prison, they're awarded with a pension. The more mayhem you do, the bigger the pension. And that's the Palestinian Authority. That's Abbas. So this kind of killing and slaughter is encouraged. And I want to remind you of something. It's not just against Jews. Clearly this was. And clearly that's the main target. But they're targeting the entire West, and people are finally starting to wake up to this fact. And that's why the president is now barring Palestinians from entering the United States on Palestinian Authority-issued travel documents. The president understands this is a problem. Now, this group, this radical anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian group in L.A., the group planned to bomb Los Angeles buildings marked with Hamas triangles, FBI reveals. They're called the Turtle Island Liberation Front. They had bomb-making stations. They had free Palestine stickers. It was all set for New Year's Eve. 4 members of this group were arrested. They were planning 5 coordinated bombings across Los Angeles, the Department of Justice announced, as you know. It involved painting Hamas triangles near their targets, and photos show free Palestine stickers gathered across bomb-making stations. Audrey, Eileen Carroll, Zachary, Aaron Page, Dante Gafid, and Tina Lai, all charged by federal prosecutors with conspiracy and possession of unregistered destructive devices following their arrest. They hold significant ties to the anti-Israel movement. They're anti-capitalist, anti-government movement, centered around militant, anti-Israel rhetoric and open endorsement of violence. And they were just going to kill. The members allegedly planned to target 2 companies in their attack. While the complaint didn't name the companies, the group protested Elbit Systems, an Israeli defense company, outside its Los Angeles office. And it's named after an indigenous term for North America, has also expressed support for so-called Arab resistance, has appeared at protests displaying signs reading, "Israel's the right to go to hell." Other slogans promoted by the group include "Free Palestine" or "Scorch the Earth." The group has also called for death to ICE, death to America. I've explained this now for years, have I not? I've explained for years the overlay between all this. I've explained for years about the Marxist-Islamist fusion. I've explained for years how their goal is to destroy the West, particularly Israel and the United States. And thankfully, more and more people are repeating it as if they have brilliantly figured it out. But we've been discussing this right here for a long time. The attack laid out instructions for constructing complex pipe bombs, conducting surveillance, evading law enforcement. This was going to happen on New Year's in the L.A. area. Destroying evidence after the attack, it called for coordinated teams to plant backpacks with explosive devices at 5 separate locations and detonate them simultaneously at midnight, December 31, 2025. The plot explicitly cited New Year's Eve fireworks as a way to mask the sound of explosions and delay detection by authorities. At one meeting, One of the would-be terrorists, Page, asked those present whether they would be interested in receiving firearms training. Another, Carol, added that she had a contact who could obtain unregistered ARs. Claimed another member with prior military experience could help source parts. Investigators also obtained access to encrypted communications used by the group. They're very sophisticated. According to signal messages reviewed by the FBI, the conspirators used a group chat titled Order the Black Lotus, described by Carol as their space for everything radical, to coordinate logistics, assign roles, share bomb-making instructions, and plan a Mojave Desert trip to test the explosive devices. The FBI intervened as the suspects actually began assembling explosive components at their desert site, arresting all four before a functional device could be constructed. Agents recovered potassium nitrate, sulfur, charcoal powder, PVC pipes of various dimensions, gasoline, primers, fuse materials, components that FBI bomb technicians determined could be readily assembled into improvised explosive devices and Molotov cocktails. Carol and Page discussed plans for follow-up attacks after New Year's Eve, including potential bite bomb attacks targeting ICE officers and vehicles, beginning in January and February. That would take some of them out and scare the rest of them, Carol said. It's what I keep explaining. You know, people, oh, the Jews this, the Jews... Look at these people. Jews are number one on their hate list, but everybody's on their hate list. Our entire country, the whole system, law enforcement's on their hate list. This is why they hate Christians. Christians who are evangelicals, Christians who really embrace their faith, Christians who support the Holy Land and the State of Israel. But they hate America. Gaffield, a third of the four, served as president of the Associated Students of Cerritos College, the student government at Cerritos College in Norwalk, California, a role in which he acted as an elected student body leader before his term ended earlier this year. He also served on the District Committee on Safety. How about that? Australian officials confirmed the Bondi Beach Hanukkah attacks were motivated by Islamic State ideology. By the way, as pointed out by the Free Beacon and Breitbart and others, California Democrats, at least up to now, have basically been silent on the radical anti-Israel group's foiled Los Angeles bomb plot. You know, they don't want to hurt their electoral base. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. All right, welcome back. Got a lot going on. We've got a lot more to cover. The president will be speaking at 9 p.m. Eastern immediately after the end of this program. You know, a man I haven't known long, but I consider him one of my best friends. Really, really one of my dearest friends. Is Sid Rosenberg, on WABC morning host. Right, Mr. Producer? And he was at the Hanukkah party, too, and the president called him out. He's a big fan of Sid's. He's a great patriot. Excuse me, he really is a great patriot. And I've gotten to know him, and we text all the time. Just a terrific guy, and after the first of the year, we're going to have him back. I will be making an announcement when we return from vacation. I'm working on something right now, and I think it's going to be very, very exciting. I think most of you in this audience will find it very exciting, too. And I just can't announce it yet. I'm just not able to. And so, anyway, I'll leave it right there. Here we have an imam over at Breitbart, one of the great sites, from Joshua Klein. We have an imam in Miami, and we have these imams all over the country. Dearbornistan, all over New Jersey, other parts of Michigan, and of course in the Miami area, Florida, and so forth. Excuse me, cholera. U.S. deserves divine punishment. Trump is human garbage. The foot of the dirtiest Somali is cleaner than your face. America deserves mass punishment. By the way, can I ask you folks a question? I'm quite serious. Why are these neo-fascist podcasters, why do they all but ignore this stuff? Why do they ignore this stuff? They attack quote-unquote neocons. They attack conservatives, MAGA, Trump, Jews. But have you noticed how silent they are about this? Have you? America deserves mass punishment from Allah, but has been spared only out of honor for devout Muslims living in the U.S., according to a Florida Islamic cleric who went on to denounce President Trump as human garbage, claims Somali's feet are cleaner than the American president's face, mocks Secretary of State Marco Rubio as gay, and declaring that the mere prospect of a caliphate gives him nightmares. He did this during a sermon. North Miami Islamic Center. His preacher, Dr. Fadi Youssef Kablawi. I believe the system in this country has committed so much injustice in the world. Then why are you here? Why don't you take your ass and get the hell out and go back where you came from? Seriously. I'm sick of people who come into my country, come into our country, with their hate, with their vile, violent ideology. Come into my country, come into our country, refuse to assimilate, trash everything that's been built here over 250 years that men and women have fought for. Come in here, say they hate the country, we're unequal, we're unjust, then get the hell out of here. I've had it up to here. And I'm sick and tired of people in this country who defend this or ignore it. I'm sick of it. Don't tell me Allah's going to punish us. Greatest country on the face of the earth. I am sick of it. I'm sick of the neo-fascists who attack our country, attack our president, attack me. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the Marxist Islamists who are trying to secrete themselves into our electoral system, take over the Democrat Party. I'm sick of them too. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. This Brown University investigation, maybe it's going a lot better than we know, but the public face of these people who are speaking to the American people in terms of their mealy-mouthed comments are just embarrassing, I think. And I mean that. Just contradictory, embarrassing. I mean, they don't know what kind of gun was used. Can't you know what kind of guns are used, Mr. Producer, by the ammo? They don't have many cameras on campus. Because you know that would be politically incorrect to have cameras on campus. Just a disaster. And so again, these institutions, I'm not saying that they're responsible for this, but they let their student body down by not taking all possible precautions. I've not seen comments on television, perhaps they're there, that the professor is Jewish, that the professor taught for a period of time in Israel, that she teaches a Mideast program, among other things. Didn't see any of that. I didn't see much comment on, again, the TV part of the public commentary, that one of those who was murdered, a young lady, was the, I believe, vice president of the college Republicans on the campus. I didn't see that either. Why is that? Some have said that the shooter basically announced his ideology. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. We don't know a lot. And I'm not talking about not knowing a lot that might interfere with the investigation, not knowing a lot because they don't want us to know a lot for PC purposes. There have been reports that a lot of the internet communication has been cleaned up. Did you read that, Mr. Producer? I don't know if it's true or not, but it would help if these people who are speaking would tell us if it's true or not. We're not getting that information. They'll finally get the guy, or guys, or gals, or whatever they are. But this is really bizarre to me. Over in the New York Post, F grades handed to 14 colleges in anti-Semitism report card as Jewish students forced to hide their identities. In America, nobody should have to hide their identities. I don't care who you are or what you are. Whopping 39% of Jewish college students have had to hide their identities on campus. 62% said they've been directly blamed for Israel's military actions, according to a new report obtained by the New York Post. The civil rights group Stop Anti-Semitism. This is Kraft's group, the owner of the Patriots. They issued their 2025 report cards grading how 90 colleges addressed the spreading hatred against Jews on campus, 14 schools flunking the exam, including 2 New York City universities. The report exposes a disturbing and undeniable reality. Anti-Semitism on American college campuses is systemic and tolerated, in many cases enabled by the very institutions tasked with protecting our American kids. Stop Anti-Semitism founder Laura Rez said in a statement. Did the Biden administration do anything at all about this? They did nothing. Absolutely nothing. They brought these people into our country. Those they didn't bring into our country, these professors were teaching them hate. Well, anti-Semitism is on the rise across the globe. Hamas terrorist attack against Israel on October 7, students at 90 colleges in America have reported feeling unsafe on their campuses, according to the report. About 58% of respondents said they have personally experienced anti-Semitism on campuses, only 12% claiming the reported incidents were properly addressed. Did you see these people on the subway in New York coming back from a Hanukkah party? Did you see these 2 black guys beating up on this one guy, Mr. Producer? It's unbelievable. It's sickening. They're choking the guy. He didn't do anything. They tried to avoid them. They went into a car. They were following into the subway car. Did you see Crown Heights? Did you see that video, Mr. Producer? There's obviously a Jewish guy based on his clothing, stabbed by a black guy. For what? For nothing. For nothing. Now, the way I just explained it, nobody talks about it this way. What's going on? What's going on? Mark, you can't say that. I can't tell you what I see with my own two eyes? With my own two eyes? Yes, I will continue to do this as long as I can. And I will continue to do this. This is America. You know, that's what the Israels are. Please give it a... This is on our subway system, on our streets, from New York to Miami to L.A. I just covered briefly New York, Miami, and L.A. I just talked about imams. I just talked about what took place on the subway, on the streets. Massive terrorist attack plotted and planned for New Year's Eve in 5 different locations in California. Seems to me this is all about America. Seems to me it's all about the battle between civilization and the barbarians, is it not? The answer is yes, it is. Vivek Ramaswamy, Politico, not a favorite of mine, calls on conservatives to reject the Groypers, a.k.a. the Gropers. In a New York Times op-ed, the former Republican presidential candidate is running for governor of Ohio. I think he'd be a very good governor. He said Fuentes and his supporters have no place in the conservative movement. You won't hear that from Tucker Carlson. You won't hear it. You won't hear it from bloated Bannon. You won't hear it from No Pants Gates. You won't hear it from Marjorie Trader Green. He urged conservatives to reject Groyper transgressions, becoming the latest Republican to weigh in on the oncoming debate in the party over anti-Semitism. You know, there's really not debate in the Republican Party. The overwhelming majority of Republicans reject this crap. And the problem is the Democrat Party has already been consumed by it. It's been devoured by it. And now they're working on the Republican Party from the neo-fascist right. These are not constitutional conservatives. These are not people who believe in Americanism. If, like Mr. Fuentes, you believe that Hitler was really effing cool, he wrote in the op-ed, if you publicly call Usha Vance a Jeet, then you have no, and I had never heard of that word, then you have no place in the conservative movement, period. Ramaswamy wrote in the New York Times, op-ed published Wednesday, referring to a derogatory ethnic slur against South Asians. Ramaswamy shared that he has been the target of racial slurs. Join the pack there, brother. And attacks on social media despite older Republicans doubting the rising prevalence, white supremacy in right-leaning online circles. I don't think older Republicans are denying this at all. Do you, Mr. Producer? I think older Republicans are the ones calling it out. I think what we lack is certain prominent Republicans calling it out, certain prominent Republicans sitting on their mouths. These are politicians that never shut the hell up, but all of a sudden they have found their silence. Now, did you see this MIT professor, this nuclear expert? Jewish, pro-Israel, MIT professor. They murdered him in his own home. Who was they? The Israelis think the Iranians may have been behind it, and they're investigating it. It's unbelievable. MIT professor shot in his home, murdered in his home. So this is spreading. This is metastasizing. My affiliates understand this. My satellite partners understand this. Everybody connected with platforming this program understand it. We are the point of the spear. We are out front on this. It's not easy to be out front because people don't believe. Or people wonder, why aren't you talking about, the issue of the day or something like that? Because that's not what I do. That's not what I do. Vivek said it should be acceptable on the right to criticize USA to Israel or immigrant visas, but it's downright unacceptable to spew poison toward Jews, Indians, or other ethnic groups. You know, I'm going to say this, though. If you say you have a right to disagree with the existence of the state of Israel, I don't know. Do you have the right to say you disagree with the existence of Rome and the papacy? Well, what kind of idiocy is that? You can disagree with the existence of the one Jewish state? That's like saying you can disagree with the existence of America, but that doesn't mean you're anti-American. Of course you are. That's crazy. And so here we are. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
As a consumer, you can carry the success or failure of businesses in the palm of your hand. Their success can depend on your decision to spend money with them or their competitor. Well, my friends at Pure Talk would like to say thank you from the bottom of their hearts for choosing Pure Talk for your wireless needs. Because of you, they've had a record-breaking year. Because of your generosity through their Roundup for Charity program, they've been able to donate over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership, who stands on the front lines of helping to prevent veteran suicide. Your patronage has allowed Pure Talk to donate 1,000 hand-sewed Made in America flags to your fellow veterans. And when you choose Pure Talk as your wireless provider, you help Pure Talk support American jobs right here in our country. Like I said, as a consumer, you have the power to make or break companies. And with the money the big wireless guys throw around on advertising, you're inundated with offers everywhere you look. So from everyone in the Pure Talk family, thank you for your trust, and God bless you. It's been a long time since we've had Senator Lindsey Graham on the program. Senator, how are you, sir?
Good. Too long, my friend.
Too long.
Glad to be with you.
You've been out there, one of the great leaders defending our country against Islamism and anti-Semitism. You've been morally clear as hell about the Middle East and Hamas and Israel and so forth and so on. You see what's happened in Australia. You see what's happening in our country. What do you make of all this?
Well, I think, after 9/11, we've sort of forgotten what led to it. You try to normalize things that are not normal. The Australian Western Europe model is not working. You had a public official in Australia, a female police officer, who said she wanted to make it clear that these people belong to a terrorist organization, not a religion. No. Radical Islam is a form of Islam. The biggest victims of radical Islam are other Muslims. But radical Islam is a strain of religion that requires the people who believe to purify Islam, to destroy the Jews and kill infidels like me, a Christian. That's what they believe. They're religious Nazis. They're dedicated to a master religion for the world, like the Nazis wanted a master race. It's hard to fight an enemy if you don't define the enemy. So what you have to do is you have to hit them before they hit you. When these madrasas pop up, when the imams start preaching the hate act, have rational immigration policy. If you think gun control makes you safer in the face of radical Islam, you're a nut. So this appeasement, this political correctness is getting a lot of people killed. The Trump doctrine, they're evil. They're the enemy. We're going to hit them wherever we find them. We're going to work with our partners like Israel to stop them.
Why do you think somebody like you or Tom Cotton or Ted Cruz, you're basically traditional conservatives. You have traditional foreign policy perspectives. You're America first. You want America to have the strongest military. Sure. You want to have our strong alliances. You want to make sure our allies are supported and that they support us. Why do you think you come under attack by these well, sort of the right and the left, these neo-fascists and these Marxist Islamists?
Well, nobody's attacked more than you, my friend. I mean, you are a Reagan guy, but, you know, you and me and Ted, for some reason, We bring out the worst in these people.
Yeah.
So what's our big sin in their eyes? We actually believe Israel is our friend and ally. Now, if you think that Israel is a liability for America, boy, you're missing a lot. If we had to replicate what Israel does for us in terms of military capability, we would dramatically increase the number of soldiers we have. We'd be spending a lot more money. The IDF is deployed in the region. They're taking out people that would kill us if they could, and Israel's doing it, and the money we give them is a great return on investment. Israel, common enemies we have together, Israel and America, common values, democracy. So the bottom line is those who really hate the Jewish state hate you. They hate me. Those on the left who feel offended by speaking truth to the power that these people are religious fanatics, that they did not have a bad experience as children. They believe that God commands them to destroy the rest of us. They hate us because we're not politically correct. And I don't care who hates me. I care about, am I delivering for the people that I represent? And the people I represent in South Carolina believe that God blesses those who bless Israel. And people in South Carolina believe that Israel is our ally, of value to us, and those who want to destroy the Jewish state also want to kill us. That's what drives my thinking.
This is a very important point you're making, because I've never found these Islamists say, we'll stop at Israel. They say, no, we want to destroy the West. We want to kill the Christians, the Hindus, the Buddhists. It's not like, all right, just give us Israel and we're done. That's not how this works, is it, Senator?
You're so good at this. So listen to what they say. So what drives these people? What's the difference between ISIS and Al-Qaeda? I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the difference?
Nothing, maybe. I don't know.
No, there's a big difference.
Tell me.
Small but big. Okay. Al-Baghdadi created ISIS, and his beef was that Al-Qaeda was taking too long to create a worldwide caliphate where the entire world would submit to their view of Islam. That he thought bin Laden was a jihadist in name only. They want a caliphate right now, ISIS does. The Al-Qaeda guys kicked them out because they were too radical. Al-Qaeda is the friggin' Rotary Club compared to ISIS. You've got to know who you're fighting. And their agenda is to bend the world to their view of worshiping God. What did the Germans want? Literally a master race, destroying inferior races and having the Aryan race rule the world. These people want their version of Islam to dominate the entire world. They want to kill all the Jews, wipe out Christianity, purify Islam, and it's not about Israel. It's about their mandate given by God. And
Senator, if you can, stick with us just for another segment. If you have to go, I understand it,
Sure.
but we'd love you to stay. We'll be right back. As a consumer, you can carry the success or failure of businesses in the palm of your hand. Their success can depend on your decision to spend money with them or their competitor. Well, my friends at Pure Talk would like to say thank you from the bottom of their hearts for choosing Pure Talk for your wireless needs. Because of you, they've had a record-breaking year. Because of your generosity through their Roundup for Charity program, they've been able to donate over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership, who stands on the front lines of helping to prevent veteran suicide. Your patronage has allowed Pure Talk to donate 1,000 hand-sewed Made in America flags to your fellow veterans. And when you choose Pure Talk as your wireless provider, you help Pure Talk support American jobs right here in our country. Like I said, as a consumer, you have the power to make or break companies. And with the money the big wireless guys throw around on advertising, you're inundated with offers everywhere you look. So from everyone in the Pure Talk family, thank you for your trust, and God bless you.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
We are here with Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Senator Graham, it's a pleasure to have you. The president's going to speak at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. I suspect he's going to mention Venezuela, as Bernie Sanders puts it. And
so if you got land or property in Venezuela, sell.
Yeah, you might want to sell it in the next 2 hours. But the thing is this. But the thing is this. Already, the isolationists are saying he's going to get us into another war. Is not Venezuela killing our people with poisonous drugs?
Yeah, so who are you going to bet on, Venezuela or us? I'm betting on us. So let's get this really down to the point. Everybody who thought Hitler didn't mean it, they were wrong. The guy wrote a book, I Want to Kill All the Jews. They should have believed him. He didn't want German-speaking territory. He wanted to conquer the whole world, kill everybody he didn't like, including the gypsies and the Jews and everybody else. Don't do that again. ISIS is religious fanatics. They're a bunch of religious Nazis. You can't live in peace with them, but you can fight them successfully. Don't do it by yourself. Have partners like Saudi Arabia and UAE and Israel. Fight them over there so they don't get here. When it comes to drugs, how about this idea? If there's a country in your backyard that's run by a narco-terrorist dictator who's not a legitimate leader but sits atop a chain of cartels that sends drugs into your country and makes billions of dollars off killing your people, blow up his boats and take him out. How about that?
Mm-hmm. Why is that controversial? It's not, is it? It's just a few big mouths, isn't it?
Well, it's not if you're a mother out there trying to raise a kid that you're worried that they're going to get poisoned at school. Why do we tolerate this crap? You got Cuba, it's a communist dictatorship. It's a narco-terrorist state. You got Venezuela. Maduro's not a legitimate leader. He stole the election. He's aligned with Hezbollah. He makes his money on narco-terrorism. He's poisoning our people in the United States. And Trump says, enough already. We're going to seize his ships carrying sanctioned oil. We're going to eventually hit land-based targets. And we're not going to quit until he's gone. And let me tell you to everybody listening tonight, when Maduro leaves, you're safer. Your family is safer. We could have a partner in Venezuela. They've got a lot of oil, gas resources. They could be our partner. One less narco-terrorist to poison your kids. Then we're going to go to Cuba next. We're going to take out this communist dictatorship that's been aligned with Russia, been aligned with all the bad guys, and we're going to clean up our friggin' backyard to make America safer. That's what we're going to do under Trump. And if you don't like it, too bad.
Hasn't it always been, well, certainly since the Monroe Doctrine, hasn't that always been our position? Whatever happens in our hemisphere matters to the United States of America. I mean, if you got now a dictator, if you got a dictator sending killer drugs into our country and you view that as, well, you better not do anything about it, well, then we might as well just surrender to all of our enemies.
Yeah, right. Like you're at war with radical Islam. Say it. You're at war. This is a religious war. Say narco-terrorist states will not exist in our backyard anymore. Bush 41 took Noriega down, who ran Panama. We literally invaded the country. We lost soldiers, but he went. He went to jail. So Trump is not doing anything exotic. He's doing something that should have been done a long time ago. More Americans have died from cocaine and fentanyl poisoning than all forms of terrorism combined. And wouldn't it be nice to have a hemisphere where countries in your backyard were not funneling drugs into America to kill your kids? So President Trump, keep it up. Seize these ships. Start hitting targets on the land. Insist that Maduro leave and try to construct a new government in Venezuela through the will of the people to align with us and be our ally. Most Venezuelans want this guy out. So President Trump is making your family safer if he gets rid of Maduro. And let me tell you, ISIS is bad for business. Everybody, well, just talk about the economy. Look at what's going on in Australia. Is anybody talking about the economy in Australia? These people have been devastated. 15 people out on the beach being Jewish, observing Hanukkah, killed because two madmen, religious Nazis, went to the Philippines, got radicalized by ISIS Philippines. I bet everything I own, came back and started shooting up people on the beach. Now, if you don't think radical Islam is bad for business, look what happened when 18 people from Saudi Arabia attacked the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, and took that plane down in Pennsylvania. Look at all the money we spent trying to protect our country. Well, let me tell you, Fortress America doesn't work. You want to protect America? Go where these guys live and fight in their backyard, not ours. Have allies that can rely upon us and will rely upon us, and have them to do the fighting too, most of the fighting. That's the Trump model. This head in the sand BS approach that if we leave them alone, they'll leave us alone is insane. When it comes to drugs, try to go after people who sell them and who want to poison America. And if they're running a country that's a narco-terrorist state, take it down.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right on. Now, you're running for re-election. If people want to help you, do you know where they can go, Senator?
Yeah, lindseygraham.com, say your prayers, send $5. If you can't send, say a prayer no matter what. But, yeah, I'm running. I want to win. Why? Because I think I got something to offer.
Yeah,
Mark, you've got a lot to offer. You're a Reagan guy, and a Trump Reagan. Trump is P.T. Barnum meets Ronald Reagan. Yeah. This guy can be a handful, but on foreign policy, he's been great. He bombed Iran's nuclear facility with Israel. He had ISIS in a box, and Biden withdrew from Afghanistan, obliterated our border, and started giving money back to Iran. Trump is cleaning up the mess created by Biden. Give the man some time, and I just really appreciate what you do to educate your listeners about why America has to fight back.
Well, you're a good man, Lindsey Graham. I'd endorse you, but it might hurt you,
Not where I live.
Well, I support
your wife
you.
Could help me more than anybody.
Oh, it's true. She loves you. Yeah. But
she's a wonderful lady. You're a good man, Mark, and thank you for talking about the truth in the face of a bunch of BS.
All right. Well, you do have my endorsement. You can use it or not. It's up
Thank
to
you,
you.
pal.
All right. God bless you. You take care of yourself. Yes. I don't want any more isolationists. Folks, we're up against it, okay? The enemy is here. It's in our country. Let's stop playing games. Let's stop playing. People say, oh, Lindsey Graham, and then there's Rhinos. Are you kidding me? He's not buying a house in Qatar. Is he, Mr. Producer? He's not kissing Putin's ass, is he? He's not defending Iran against our bombers, is he? Now, that's a problem. That's a problem. A big problem. You've got individuals who see reality in the world and want to do something about it. And then you have ideologues. You know what the best foreign policy doctrine is, America? You know what it is? Peace through strength, of course, but what does that mean? Prudence. Prudence, that's the most important word. Prudence. Judgment. Gathering the facts, working them through your cranium, and coming up with a prudent decision. If a country is a narco country, and they are using the government, an illegitimate government, if they're using the government to produce and secure deadly, toxic drugs intended to kill Americans by the tens of thousands, and they hope by the hundreds of thousands, if not the millions, doesn't a president have a responsibility to stop that? Or do we just keep tolerating this? Trump doesn't work that way. He sees a problem and he wants to confront it. So when people say the president's going to speak at 9 p.m. tonight and he's going to tell us about another war we're going to get into, would be the Tucker Carlsons. He's not worried that Qatar's going to get anybody into a war, that Russia invaded Ukraine, that Iran was threatening us with nukes. He pretends it's our fault. We're the provocateurs. Or the provocateurs. And I point to him, but he's not alone, obviously. This guy, Bernie Sanders, is the biggest Stalinist pig that's ever existed. He couldn't get elected mayor of Burlington. He was a joke, and then one day he did. And then he decided to run for the Senate. And everybody loves Vermont, but in a state that is very, very small with a very, very tiny population. He's never challenged by the press. They bring him on so he can spew his communist bullcrap. So the slaughter takes place in Australia, and who does he blame? Does he blame Islamists? No. He blames Netanyahu. Now, you might say he's Jewish. This man is Jewish by birth. But let me make this clear. Bernie Sanders is a Jew hater. He's a self-hating Jew. He doesn't worship actual religion. He worships ideology. That's what Marxists do. Now, if you're a Marxist, you don't even believe in religion per se. So he views Judaism, if anything, as an ethnicity without a faith. The fact of the matter is, you can look at people in other faiths too, other races too, that have done enormous damage. And they use that faith or they use that race as camouflage or cover for what they're really doing. This man went to a kibbutz as a very young man, like Noam Chomsky did. I think it was the same kibbutz that was known not just as a Marxist kibbutz, but a Stalinist kibbutz. That's who he is. The Democrats tolerate him, but I don't have to. You don't have to. So when you have this heinous slaughter by these subhumans, and they blame Netanyahu because he punched at the prime minister and says, you've been warned, I sent you a letter in September, we've seen this happening, you had a massive march of Islamists going on about gas the Jews, you do nothing, you did nothing, because the prime minister is a radical leftist. And they rely on the vote of these people, like Mondami relied on the vote of these people. But Bernie Sanders blames Netanyahu. He uses the Sen Lindsey tactics because he is a loathsome, cancerous, poisonous, Marxist, Stalinist. That's what he is. And he will not come on this program. He won't do it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
As a consumer, you can carry the success or failure of businesses in the palm of your hand. Their success can depend on your decision to spend money with them or their competitor. Well, my friends at Pure Talk would like to say thank you from the bottom of their hearts for choosing Pure Talk for your wireless needs. Because of you, they've had a record-breaking year. Because of your generosity through their Roundup for Charity program, they've been able to donate over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership, who stands on the front lines of helping to prevent veteran suicide. Your patronage has allowed Pure Talk to donate 1,000 hand-sewed Made in America flags to your fellow veterans. And when you choose Pure Talk as your wireless provider, you help Pure Talk support American jobs right here in our country. Like I said, as a consumer, you have the power to make or break companies. And with the money the big wireless guys throw around on advertising, you're inundated with offers everywhere you look. So from everyone in the Pure Talk family, thank you for your trust, and God bless you. We're going to be starting soon our Power Hour, hour number 3. Call it the Power Hour, because we do a lot in that hour, excuse me, that I think is very, very important. Brother Dan Bongino has announced that he will be leaving the FBI, and people were saying it even before I think he could get the announcement made. But here's a guy that took a massive pay cut, who lives in Washington, D.C., while his family lives in Florida, and he's got a beautiful young family, wonderful wife and 2 daughters, and who is constantly being attacked in the media, and attacked by Carlson and the other blockheads, the other thugs. And they'll rue the day, because Dan's a friend of mine, and when he comes back, I don't think he's going to sit silently. I think he's got a long memory, as do I. Very, very important. Also, I want to get into this issue of, there's a piece on Paroline blog, a very, very important piece. There's information that has come out. Chuck Grassley has put it out. He's been fantastic. I gotta salute these guys in his office and him. Man's in his 90s, and he is really vigorous. He's really, really sharp. And what is it? FBI delivered to the Senate Judiciary Committee emails relating to the search of the president's home. And this is very important. I'll be back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. Over at Powerline, I don't see an author to this, or I'd give them credit. Yesterday, the FBI delivered to the Senate Judiciary Committee emails relating to the search of President Trump's Mar-A-Lago home. Senator Grassley has released what I take to be all the responsive documents they write. Comments you may have seen on the emails are correct. The FBI did not think there was probable cause to search President Trump's home, but Merrick Garland's Department of Justice insisted. Now, you see? Going after a former president? The FBI thought they should communicate with Trump's lawyer and likely be able to reach an agreement. Garland's Department of Justice refused. The FBI pointed out that President Trump likely had a good legal argument on the documents. The Department of Justice did not care. There are some extracts from the emails. WFO stands for the Washington Field Office of the FBI, and they present rather significant evidence in these emails of what we're talking about here. And, of course, every evening after the show on the mothership, marklevinshow.com, we provide all the articles we talk about here and other articles that I've pulled together and other research sources and so forth and so on right there on the website. And we leave them up for like 4 years, don't we, Rich? Now, based on these email exchanges, it appears obvious the FBI hated the idea of a Mar-a-Lago raid, both because there was no probable cause for a search warrant and because the matter was being handled in an unprofessional and needlessly confrontational way by Merrick Garland's Department of Justice. Please, somebody tell me, why has Merrick Garland not been subpoenaed to testify? Behind closed doors or in front of the committee? Why? This incident is one of many illustrating the fact that under Joe Biden and Merrick Garland, the Department of Justice was bent to political ends and weaponized against the administration's opponents in a way that, to my knowledge, is unique in American history, the author writes. It's just amazing how they try and turn this stuff. John Hinderaker actually wrote it. It is amazing to me how they keep trying to create the impression that it is the Trump Justice Department, the Trump administration, that is weaponizing the justice system and the legal system, when in fact they're not. When in fact we just went through hell with the Department of Justice under the Democrats and what they did. This is what's so sick about these bastards, to be perfectly honest about it. So the FBI did not want to search Mar-a-Lago. They were overruled by Main Justice in Washington, D.C., Merrick Garland. Probably Monaco, the number 2. She's a radical kook. Probably no, not probably, but certainly Jack Smith, the rogue, unconstitutional, so-called special counsel. We anticipated all this. You and I, we talked about this at tremendous length for a long period of time, that this is what took place. Then we have the Associated Press because, you know, Jack Smith's behind closed doors testifying. And so they have Democrats leaking to them. And you got all kinds of sleazy Democrats in there. You've got, for instance, Raskin. We know he's a red. We've got that clown woman from Seattle who's in charge of the, what is it? The progressives. Jayapal, that's it. Jayapal. other miscreants, malcontents, sort of reprobates. Here's the Associated Press. Former Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith told lawmakers in a closed-door interview Wednesday that his team of investigators, quote, developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt, unquote, that President Trump had criminally conspired to overturn the results of the 2020 election. According to portions of his opening statement obtained by the Associated Press, so the Democrats handed it to him, they had powerful evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that he was trying to overturn the election. Okay, let me try this again. I know the media get all worked up and wet themselves over this collectively. You're allowed to challenge an election. You're allowed to send a separate slate of electors in case your challenge is successful. If you don't set a separate slate of electors, then even if you overturn the election results in that state legitimately, there's nothing to count. So you have a non-victory. You're allowed to challenge the votes. You're allowed to do all those things, all of them. And how do we know? Because they've all been done before. And worse, this is the first time that I know of where there was this systemic effort to criminalize all this with unelected bureaucrats, unelected prosecutors, and unelected investigators at the federal level. Of course you're allowed to try and overturn an election. Maybe the election was fraudulent. Many people think, for instance, that John Kennedy winning the Democrat nomination in the 60s was fraudulent, but he did nonetheless. And I can go on and on and on. So that's not a crime. And how do we know that? Well, we know that because the 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act had nothing to do with it. And yet that's where they went. The Enron obstruction statutes had nothing to do with it. I told you that, and the Supreme Court agreed. The federal maladministration or fraudulent statutes had absolutely nothing to do with it. And that's where you had to go to try and concoct a legal case against the former president of the United States. So when he says developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt, develop proof upon the reasonable doubt to do what? To challenge the election, to try and overturn results in a state or a county? That's not a crime. That's not a crime. The Democrats today, as I speak, in many states, and the Trump Justice Department is suing them to try and get the information, is supposed to be sharing their voter rolls with the Civil Rights Division. Why? To see if they're legit. People are voting twice. You got dead people on there, illegal aliens on there. They won't turn it over. Oh, I see. That seems like an effort to overturn a legitimate election at some point, right? So the Democrats are expert at this. They've perfected the process. But this phrase that morons out there keep repeating, he tried to overturn the results of an election. Every party has lawyers that go into court. Does that mean they're trying to overturn the outcome of an election? Yes. Does it mean it's a crime? No. Does it mean the outcome of the election is legitimate? No. That's why you have lawyers. That's why you test it. That's why you go to courts. That's why you do have separate slates of electors in case you win. You're allowed to do all of this and more. What? All of this and more. Smith also said investigators had accrued powerful evidence Trump broke the law by hoarding classified documents from his first term as president. Excuse me. You were ruled unconstitutional. Everything you did flowed from that. What you did was unconstitutional. Who you are is unconstitutional. Don't give me you had powerful evidence that he violated some documents case when you shouldn't even have been doing any of this. He says, I made my decisions in the investigation without regard to President Trump's political association activities or beliefs. Now, the irony here, of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is a closed-door hearing. This opening statement was supposed to remain behind closed doors. In part, it talks about the abuse and misuse of documents, and one of the Democrats leaked it to AP as an abuse and misuse of a document. You see how that works? Testifying before this committee, Jack is showing tremendous courage in light of the remarkable and unprecedented retribution campaign against him by this administration in the White House, said his lawyer, Lanny Brewer. Remember that guy? Remember that Quisling, that weasel, Lanny Brewer? Let's be clear. Jack Smith, a career prosecutor. Oh, I guess that gives him immunity. Conducted the investigation based on the facts and based on the law and nothing more. And why do I give a crap what Lanny Brewer has to say, a Democrat hack? A nebbish. Yes. Committee's top Democrat, Jamie Raskin. Now, this guy is a Putin guy. This guy is a red. His father was a red. His father embraced the old Soviet. I'm not telling you anything that's not true. The Institute for Policy Studies was created. It was a radical left organization that backed the wrong side of the Cold War. This is his son, Raskin. Said the Republican majority made an excellent decision in not allowing Jack Smith to testify publicly because had he done so, it would have been absolutely devastating. Did you leak the document, Mr. Raskin? No, I didn't leak it. Will you say that under oath? I'm a congressman. Anybody else on the committee? Can we question whether they leaked the document? Jack Smith has just spent several hours schooling the Judiciary Committee on the professional responsibilities of a prosecutor, Raskin said. Of course, Raskin is a puke. And, of course, as I go through here, I'm not seeing a lot of comments by Republicans. Why? Because they're not leaking openly or, undercover. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
All right, this just happened, so I shall alert you to it. The House just passed the Republican health care bill that does not include extensions of Obamacare subsidies. Nor should they, because this is an abomination. The bill, dubbed the Lower Health Care Premiums for All Americans Act, was passed 216 to 211. Just Representative Tom Massey voting with Democrats against the legislation. Yeah, this guy's got to go. I used to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's got to go. The bill, dubbed as I mentioned, House leadership has struggled to reach a consensus on health care reforms ahead of the ACA deadline. God bless me. The issue has come to the forefront in the wake, again, sneezing to the truth, of the government shutdown the Democrats orchestrated to secure funding. As they write at Just the News, one of the great sites, the legislation is not expected to pass in the Republican-led Senate before it breaks for the holidays. I don't know what takes so long. I really don't. It's not that it's going to get better, but this seems to be the way it goes, unfortunately. Have any of you heard of Norman Podhoretz? Maybe you've heard of his son, John Podhoretz. Passed away today. Actually, I think it was yesterday. He was 95. And his son John writes, my father died tonight, December 16th, a month shy of his 96th birthday. Norman Podhoretz passed peacefully and without pain with a new translation of the Odyssey on his desk that had been sent to him by his friend Roger Hertog. Sat next to a copy of Alexander Pope's legendary translation, which he had asked my sister Naomi to order for him so he could compare the two. I haven't in many, many years, but I used to know Naomi quite well. At the very end of his life, Norman was his truest self, a man of letters. His greatest teachers, the men who had the most profound effect on him, Lionel Trilling at Columbia and F.R. Leavis at Cambridge, were critics who believed the life of the mind as expressed in literature was a high and noble calling. And I don't think it's bragging to say that he was a great literary critic, the last and maybe finest flowering of the group often called the partisan review crowd, though he did not write much for PR and published his most remarkable work in commentaries pages, beginning with a review of Bernard Malamud's first novel, The Natural, pushed at the ripe old age of 23. Our website records he published 145 articles in these pages from 1953 to his final appearance in November 2020. Now, understand his background. Excuse me. He grew up on the poor side of New York, I believe Brooklyn, immigrant parents, and he went to public school. Turns out he was an intellectual giant. Intellectual giant. And, my wife Julie often says that for the left, particularly left-wing Jews, their religion isn't their religion. That is, their religion isn't Judaism. Their religion is their ideology. And Podhoretz himself wrote an entire book on this subject, trying to figure out why this was the case. This is a man who started out on the left, was a Democrat, moved to the right as a Republican, especially in the Reagan era, perhaps slightly before. And these are the people who are smeared and libeled as neoconservatives. There's nothing wrong with the word neoconservative, neoliberal, neo-this, neo-that. But the racists, the bigots, and the anti-Semites have used it to trash Jews without saying Jews. Tucker Carlson has done this. Steve Bannon has done this, and so many others. But neoconservatives actually are sort of a category of people who left the left, left the Democrat Party, moved to the right in the conservative movement, especially because they were anti-communist. That's what it was about. He said there will be much to be said about him in the days and weeks and months to come. I'll say more, as will many. But right now, what I think you might be surprised to know about my father is not that he was an astonishingly courageous intellectual force, though he was, nor that his determination to remain true to his ideas, his country, and his people were actually profoundly costly to him in terms of hostility that he generated and the friends he lost, though all of that is true, nor that he changed America and the world with his own work, those articles and books and so forth. In his 35 years at the helm of this magazine, commentary unequivocally and inarguably one of the most important editorships in American history, though he did, what you really need to know is that what mattered most to him was writing. Great writing, good writing, clear writing, honest writing. He was the most literate man I've ever known, possessed of an encyclopedic knowledge of the written word in our time and in times past, who found true moral, intellectual, aesthetic purpose in the act of reading and deciphering and comprehending. And he goes on, it's a beautiful piece from a son about his father who passed. And we will have it in our so-called, I guess we'll call it our library. We will have it at the end of the show. And it's men like this, great men, great thinkers who contributed greatly to this country, who were denounced by the neo-Nazis and the neo-fascists. I'll be right back.
You're listening to Denali, the Great One.
The Great One.
And you can call in now, 877-381-3811.
Let us go to Jason, Kensington, Maryland, on the Mark Levin app. Jason, how are you, sir?
Good day, Mark. How you going, mate?
Doing great. You're from Australia, obviously.
Yeah, I'm from Brisbane, but I do have a lot of friends in the Sydney area, and I have been to Bondi Beach a number of times back when I lived there. And it's a mess. And we have a prime minister who's obviously anti-Semite, and he's also wants to ban all the guns, as if they're not already banned already. We had a bit of a gun recall back in the 90s, which was basically now it's almost impossible to own a gun privately, and they're going to make it even worse now. And and they can do it because, it's more of a sort of a socialist country compared to here. They can just sort of step in there and do that sort of thing. But yeah, the police... Now,
you say he's anti-Semitic, and people, oh, there you go again. No, this guy's a bad dude, isn't he?
He is, and he's been seen in university things years ago promoting, the two-state thing with the Palestinians, and also too, he's just become, since he's been in, he's been a bit of a disaster. He's definitely got communist leanings, and he's definitely a globalist because he's good friends with China, and of course the WHO, WEF, all that. So he's been a bit of a disaster as a prime minister. I just not sure how this is going to end because he's still fairly new into his new prime ministership.
How long is he there? If he holds up the whole time?
Well, it's every 3 years we have an election, and he just got in not too long ago. So we've still got a bit of time left with him. But the thing is, too, with the police, there's a lot of questions surrounding the police because that area, Bondi Beach, is sort of the most iconic beach in Australia. And they kind of picked that for a reason, and there's usually a lot of police around there, and we can't figure out why there was only 2 police people there on a day when they were having the Jewish celebrations, and yet when we...
Isn't that weird? 3 cops and you have several thousand people there?
Yeah, and well, if you flash back to the Palestinian protests, we had pretty much every cop on the beat out there. And you flash back to COVID. During COVID, people were getting arrested left, right, and centre for stepping outside their home on the wrong day of having, COVID restrictions. So, they had no problem, jumping on those sort of people. But all of a sudden, here they were ducking behind cars, and they couldn't take 2 guys out within, 20 minutes. I mean, if the residents would have had a gun or something to defend themselves, I'm sure they would have taken these guys out pretty quick because of the, but...
So what are you doing in Kensington, Maryland, of all places?
I moved here. I've been here for about 33 years. I moved here because my wife's from this area, and I just originally left Australia because of, of course, a little bit more opportunity here as far as work goes, and I hadn't really planned on staying that long, but it's kind of flown by. But I remember me and you were discussing about opal mining once. We're going to go opal mining out at Lightning Ridge.
There's nothing like Australian opals, but they're, they're harder and harder to find. I mean, it's very difficult now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's
the good
like
ones.
I said, there's a lot of competition for it, and Coober Pedy is got to deal with 120-degree temperatures, and you have to live underground too. So that's the main area of this.
But also, your diamond mines have mostly shut down too, right?
Yeah, pretty much, and pretty soon we're going to be shutting down all coal mines if our Prime Minister gets his way.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got the largest supply of coal in the world, and yet Australians are paying the most for their electricity. And the power is right under our feet.
The left is nuts, and yet people seem to buy into their BS, don't they?
Yeah, and I just can't understand that. When Australia's been pushing this what they call net zero policy. And the only net zero that's coming out of it is net zero income. It's sending people broke. I mean, I've got 2 nephews.
I want people to know, because I touched on it. Australia is very famous. It had the Argyle mine that closed in 2020. And that's where most of the world's best pink diamonds came from. And they had the Ellendale mine. And that's where the world's best yellow diamonds really came out of, and they've closed down. There have been efforts to kind of reopen that last one, but still. And that's one of the reasons the price for pink diamonds have gone up so high. And now yellow diamonds, where there used to be an abundance of them, there really isn't anymore. I mean, you can get them. You just got to pay more for them. And white diamonds or clear diamonds, however you want to go at, most of which come out of South Africa, that is essentially a controlled product. In other words, they can control how many diamonds come into the market and don't. And don't let anybody fool you. The price of white diamonds should be pretty flat right now. And one of the grave threats are these lab-grown diamonds that were created for industrial purposes. And then some geniuses got it in their minds to sell them retail. And they're very difficult to distinguish from the natural diamonds. Did I cover this pretty well, you think?
Yeah, pretty much, and that's the thing. It's all about control and controlling prices and how you buy them. It's the same thing in Australia. There's a lot of regulation, and it's regulations and taxes are just actually just killing small business out there. It's almost impossible to.
But Australia used to remind me of Texas, that it was really a open country. You have a lot of open land, frontier land, and so. Then, of course, the leftists come in and they destroy all that. It's just terrible. Jason, I want to thank you, my friend. Give us a call again. Appreciate you. Let's go to Don, Long Island, New York. Excuse me tonight, folks. The great WABC. How are you?
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
That's my buddy, Don. Now, Don, everybody should know, keeps up a fairly regular correspondence with me, but he kept up a lot of correspondence with my dad. My dad loved Don.
Oh, yeah.
And Don is a very, very nice man. And every time I come out with a book, he produces a beautiful handmade wooden stand, usually different woods, sometimes wood from the property of very, very famous people. He's very, very talented. Anyway, go ahead, Don.
Oh, Mark, I just want to re-emphasize this. The Australian attack on the Jewish people celebrating the first night of Hanukkah, it's just numbing to the citizen psyche and emotional awareness. It's best to be informed of the dangers of a radical Islam, and you do it so well. And the crap that these far-left radical professors are spitting out in lectures and classrooms. The videos of that Bondi shooting just show the callousness of these snipers and their fanaticism. It's upsetting, but I want to thank you for keeping it front and center, because we have to know this stuff. We have to be aware, and this is the best way to do it.
Well, you're very kind.
Not to hide.
No.
Not to hide from it, but to be aware of what we're up against.
We're up against it as a people, as a society. 9/11, same people, just a different team, Al-Qaeda, but same ideology, same Islamist belief system, hit us on 9/11. And they hit Israel on October 7th. And they hit Australia, the Jews there. And they're plotting to kill more Americans. And this is a very, very dangerous period of time in our country. And we have a president that's actually trying to do something about it, unlike the prior president and some other presidents who were unfortunately politically correct, running around talking about Islamophobia. And that word Islamophobia, again, invented by the Islamists as part of their propaganda effort to prevent a free people like us talking about Islamism. And groups like CARE and groups like Students for Justice in Palestine, they have all kinds of cool names, But they are what they are, and I can prove it in each and every case. And the information is readily available. And they are here. They are in our politics. They are in our schools. They are in our media. They are in our streets. And I'm talking about the Islamists. And these are very dangerous times. The president's trying to remove some of them, or many of them, or all of them if he can. But we have a rogue judiciary on the Democrat side where they took the most radical lawyers and made them federal judges. Look, I want to wish you, Don, and your family a fantastic Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. You're a good man, and I appreciate you. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
So we're trying to stop Venezuela from sending drugs into the country, and of course the Democrats take up the side of the druggies, the drug runners, the drug cartels, the killers. The killers. And so we have AOC on Capitol Hill after a closed-door briefing yesterday, and here's what she says. Cut 13, go.
This is one of the least professional classified briefings I have ever sat in on, with the least amount of legal and intelligence justification for what is happening.
Is it a war crime?
I believe so.
Okay, hold on. First of all, she's not even supposed to be talking about it. It was a closed-door briefing. Secondly, for this guy Raju of CNN, well, was it a war crime? Based on what does he say that? Nothing. based on the fact that he spews Democrat talking points. And he's asking AOC, so he knows her answer. America is always wrong. America is awful. America is unequal. America is unfree. America sucks. That's what they say. That's what they believe. Go ahead.
I believe that what he has engaged in, I think beyond a war crime, I think this is just a crime. Congress has not engaged in an authorized use of military force.
All right, thank you, and goodbye. Congress doesn't have to. I don't care what any former federal prosecutor has to say. They can cut off the funds or not. One of the biggest reprobates out there today, of course, is Marjorie Trader Greene. Excuse me, cholera. And she just can't shut the hell up. What, are you trying to shut me up? Nobody can shut you up, so don't worry about it, lady. But you're an imbecile. You would think if you're an imbecile, maybe she's a lunatic, not so much an imbecile. That is, maybe she's just crazy. You might want to put, kind of a zipper on your mouth. But not her. She wants to prove to the world that she is a complete idiot. And she's doing a hell of a good job of it, which is why the left loves her. They use her. The Constipated News Network, they never cared about her, but now they do. ABC News, The View, believe that? The Yentas love to have her there. Yeah, they pat her on the head and she says what they want her to say. Same thing. And of course, the neo-fascists love her too, because they don't like Trump. You've got to really listen to these people. They trash Trump, and they'll trash him after his speech tonight. Let's listen to her. Cut 17, go.
While CNN has been talking about affordability, all of a sudden, after Republicans got crushed in that election not too long ago, Fox News is all of a sudden willing to talk about affordability because it is a crisis. And health insurance is the coming crisis that...
Yes, and health insurance is the... Hold on. Health insurance is the coming crisis. And actually, Obamacare did that. As I recall, the Democrats all voted for it and the Republicans all voted against it. That's my recollection. I'm pretty sure that's the case. And Obamacare's blown up our healthcare system, so everybody's prices are going up. And for many people, the quality of care is very poor. The Republicans don't want to just continue down that road and put tens of billions of dollars in a black hole for insurance companies. No, they've been saying, hey, look, we need to reform this and fix this. We've got a bunch of ideas, but the Democrats don't want to do that. You see, they want to shut down the government and blame the Republicans. They'll burn down the whole country, and they don't care. But, those Republicans, they're there. Suddenly they're talking about affordability. Trump has been talking about affordability since day one. But remember, we're dealing with a certified moron here. So whatever the Democrats say now, she's going to parrot, like a parrot. Affordability. The affordability issue, blue states are unaffordable. Blue big cities are unaffordable. People are moving with their feet to red states because they're more affordable. If you live in Florida, you have no income tax. If you live in Tennessee, you have no income tax. And a handful of other states, too. So people move to Florida. They move, Texas. They move to Texas and Florida and Tennessee. Washington State, I don't believe, is an income tax, but they have a whole bunch of other crap that drives up costs. Affordability. Gas prices are way down. No thanks to the Democrats. Despite the Democrats. Boy, this woman is dumb as she looks. I'm just being honest. No offense. I call them as I see them. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers. We salute the men and women in Ukraine right here. That's what we do. We salute the men and women in Israel and you, the American people. Red-blooded Yanks, you're the best of the best. And I'll see you tomorrow.